It was a normal Monday morning in a small Indiana high school until a beloved teacher walked into the hallway and vanished. No goodbye, no clue, just an empty corridor and a coffee mug left behind on the floor. What happened next shook an entire town to its core, and what they uncovered still haunts a community to this day. A normal Monday at Fairview High. Fairview, Indiana, was a kind of place where nothing ever happened until something did. On September 16th, 2019, the school bells rang just like they always did at Fairview High School, a brick-faced building nestled between cornfields and faded strip malls. Kids were shuffling into first period. Teachers were grabbing coffee in the lounge. The fluorescent lights flickered in the main hallway, barely noticeable to those who walked beneath them every day. Among them was Ms. Rachel Harmon, 34, a respected and well-loved English teacher known for her vintage cardigans, dry wit, and unmatched dedication to her students. She had a reputation for arriving early, reviewing lesson plans in the faculty lounge, and always being in her classroom before the first bell. But on that Monday, something happened. Something no one could explain. Rachel Harmon walked into the school building at 7:41 a.m., captured by the front door security camera, carrying a reusable coffee mug. Her usual tote bag slung over her shoulder. She never made it to class. The last footage, the security footage, later reviewed by police, showed Rachel entering the building, nodding to the custodian, Alvin Stone, as she passed. She moved down the east wing, her steps confident but calm. It was just another Monday. But after that, the cameras went blank. That corridor, where she was last seen, had a dead zone, something the school's aging security system was notorious for. There was no footage of her walking into her classroom, no footage of her leaving the hallway, just a single frame, time-stamped 7:43 a.m., of her coffee mug resting on the floor, spilled, like it had been dropped in haste or fear. There was no sign of Rachel Harmon anywhere in the building, not in her classroom, not in the staff lounge, not in the parking lot. She was simply gone. The first hours. When the first bell rang at 8 a.m., Rachel's students sat waiting in room 212. By 8:10, students were murmuring. She was never late. By 8:30, a substitute teacher was called in. At 9:12 a.m., the assistant principal called Rachel's cell phone. No answer. By 9:45 a.m., her car was found in the school parking lot, unlocked, keys still in her tote bag on the passenger seat. At 10:30 a.m., the principal made the call to local authorities. Rachel Harmon was reported missing. Small town, big shock. The news swept through the town like wildfire. Fairview was tight-knit. Everyone knew everyone, especially someone like Rachel, who'd been teaching at the school for over a decade. Her students described her as tough but fair, with a knack for uncovering talent in kids others had given up on. She ran the school's creative writing club, stayed late to help struggling students, and was even rumored to have declined job offers from bigger schools in Indianapolis just to stay in Fairview. She was, to put it simply, the kind of teacher you never forget. And now, she was nowhere to be found. Rumors in the hallways. By Tuesday, the town was ablaze with theories. Some claimed she'd run off, maybe with a secret lover. Others whispered she'd been abducted, citing her missing class as proof something sinister had occurred. One theory, darker than the rest, came from students who claimed the hallway where Rachel vanished had a strange reputation. "There's this cold spot," said Tyler Mendez, a senior who passed that hallway every day, right near the old janitor's closet. You walk through it, and it's like everything's just off. Tyler wasn't alone. Others chimed in, sharing stories about lockers opening on their own, papers flying off desks, and hearing footsteps when the hallway was empty. The janitor's closet, unused and padlocked, became the focus of attention. The closet. Police obtained permission to break the lock on the janitor's closet. Inside, nothing but dust, rusted mops, old ammonia containers, and a broken chair. No evidence. No blood. No fibers. No signs of a struggle. Yet the room felt wrong. Officers described a metallic smell in the air. The walls had strange gouge marks, like something had been dragged or fought. But worst of all, on the back of the closet door, written faintly in red marker, I never made it to class. Handwriting experts later confirmed it was Rachel's handwriting. The secret files. 3 days into the investigation, detectives discovered something strange on Rachel's school laptop. Buried in a folder labeled Faculty Documents was an encrypted file named hallway_project.mp4. Once decrypted, the video showed Rachel sitting at her desk late one evening. She looked tired, almost paranoid, glancing behind her often. In the video, she whispered, "If you're watching this, I'm probably gone." There's something happening in this school, specifically in the East hallway, something no one believes me about. Doors opening, shadows moving. I've seen people in the hall who shouldn't be there, people who don't exist. I set up a hidden camera. Watch what I found. The footage then cut to grainy black and white video from what looked like a night vision camera. At 3:16 a.m., the hallway lights flicker. A tall shadow appears, elongated, inhuman. It moves unnaturally fast, passing by the lockers, pausing right in front of Rachel's classroom door. Then the screen goes black. The deeper mystery. Detectives were baffled. Paranormal explanations weren't on the table officially, but whispers started spreading. Was Fairview High haunted? Rachel's sister, Emma Harmon, didn't buy the ghost theory. She was scared of something, Emma told reporters. But she was also onto something. I think someone alive, human, was stalking her. Emma revealed that Rachel had been researching the school's history, and it turns out Fairview High had a dark past. The school's curse. In 1978, before it was Fairview High, the building had been Eastside State Youth Facility, a juvenile correctional center shut down after a riot killed 4 inmates and 1 guard. The East hallway? That had been Cell Block D. During the riot, one of the inmates, Charles Lyle, reportedly escaped through the East Wing and was never found. His name vanished from public records. But Emma found a yearbook photo from 1982, after the building was repurposed as a school. In the back row of a staff photo, a janitor stood tall, face obscured, but his build matched Charles Lyle's prison file exactly. Had he been hiding in plain sight for decades? Had Rachel found him? Was she silenced before she could expose the truth? A new witness. Then came a shocking turn. On October 12th, almost a month after Rachel disappeared, a freshman student named Mia Crawford came forward. She said she saw a man in an old janitor's uniform in the East hallway the morning Rachel vanished. He wasn't someone she recognized. When she approached him, he looked startled and bolted down the hallway into the locked janitor's closet. She ran to get help. When she returned, he was gone. There were no footprints, no fingerprints, no way out. The returned item. On October 29th, nearly 6 weeks after Rachel disappeared, something chilling happened. Her coffee mug, cleaned and intact, was found back on her desk. There were no prints, no signs of forced entry, just a sticky note with 4 words. I made it back. That same day, every hallway camera went offline for exactly 13 minutes. As the town prepared for Halloween, fear turned to obsession. Parents pulled their kids from school. The principal resigned. Police installed motion detectors and thermal sensors. But then came the final twist. At 3:12 a.m. on November 1st, the motion sensors in the East hallway triggered. Responding officers arrived within minutes. What they found chilled them to the bone. On the floor of the hallway was Rachel's staff ID, smeared with something red. Next to it, a black and white photo. It showed a girl, Mia Crawford, standing in the hallway. Behind her, blurry and massive, was a figure in a janitor's uniform, and in the bottom corner, written in jagged handwriting, "She's next." The second target. The grainy black and white photo left behind in the hallway was unmistakable. Mia Crawford, the freshman who claimed to have seen the unknown janitor, now appeared to be the next intended victim. The red writing, "She's next," wasn't just a threat. It was a promise. That same morning, Mia was pulled from class and placed into protective custody by local police. Officers patrolled her neighborhood, and a cruiser was stationed outside her home 24/7. Her terrified parents refused to let her return to school. But late that night, Mia vanished. Gone again. Surveillance footage showed Mia walking through her kitchen at 1:04 a.m., pouring herself a glass of milk. At 1:08 a.m., a dark silhouette appeared on the baby monitor in her 6-year-old brother's room. The figure stood perfectly still for 43 seconds before vanishing. Her brother never stirred. At 1:12 a.m., her front door unlocked from the inside. The deadbolt had been turned. Mia was gone. No sign of struggle. No note. Just her slippers left behind on the doormat. Another missing person. Another hallway to nowhere. Rachel's journal. Desperate for answers, Emma Harmon. Rachel's sister. Petition for access to her siblings' belongings. Now considered evidence. Among Rachel's possessions was a leather-bound journal tucked inside her school tote bag, dated 2 months before her disappearance. The entries were unhinged, but eerily prescient. August 1st. There's something behind the walls. I hear scratching when I stay late. I thought it was rats, but I saw an eye, watching me from the vent. August 8th. I followed the hallway down past the boiler room. There's a door that shouldn't exist. No handle, no signage, just a metal slab. When I pressed my hand to it, it was warm. August 20th. I've started dreaming in hallways. They stretch on forever in my sleep, lined with lockers that breathe. I wake up to the sound of the school bell, even when I'm at home. August 30th. Someone else knows. I caught a janitor in the hallway, but I've never seen him before. He looked right at me and said, "You shouldn't be here this late." He vanished when I turned to call security. The locker with no number. Investigators began combing through the east hallway again, this time more methodically. That's when they found something odd. Locker 113 was missing. Not removed, just skipped. Locker 112. Blank. Locker 114. Between them sat an old, rusting locker with no number. When opened, they discovered a stained denim jacket inside, embroidered with Rachel's initials. There were also fragments of Polaroids tucked in the bottom corner. Photos of students, distorted and yellowing, with large XS scratched across the faces. But most disturbing was a handwritten note, scrawled on lined paper. Every lesson must have a cost. Every student must pay. She taught too much. Deeper digging. Emma, growing impatient with the police investigation, hired a private investigator. Lenora Price, a former homicide detective with a reputation for solving the unsolvable. Price discovered that 4 other staff members had gone missing from Fairview High between 1983 and 2004, each time written off as either resignations or mental breakdowns. Mr. Ronald Bellamy, gym teacher, 1983, walked out mid-class, never returned. Ms. Linda Prowell, nurse, 1989, left for lunch, abandoned her car in the parking lot. Mr. Eugene Pratt, janitor, 1996, stopped clocking in, apartment left untouched. Mrs. Claire Walton, librarian, 2004, vanished during fire drill, never came back. None of them were ever found. Rachel had uncovered these names in her journal, circled and underlined. She was researching a pattern of disappearances linked to one location, the east hallway, the sublevel. Using old architectural plans, Price and Emma discovered blueprints for a forgotten section of the school, an underground sublevel, sealed after the prison riots in the 1970s. Access had been blocked. On paper, it didn't exist anymore. But Price found the entrance, behind the janitor's closet, obscured by drywall. The 2 women broke in with crowbars and flashlights. Beneath the hallway was a concrete staircase, steep and cold. And at the bottom, a corridor lined with rusted doors. Each door had a number carved into the wall. 1, 2, 3, and on door number 7, written in chalk, class in session. Inside, they found a makeshift desk, a chair, and the unmistakable remains of a school book with Rachel's name on it. The desk had deep gouge marks across its surface. The blood on the walls. Inside sublevel room 7, forensic testing confirmed traces of blood on the desk, walls, and concrete floor. Blood type? A positive. Same as Rachel's. But not just hers. Further analysis revealed 2 additional DNA profiles, one matching Mia Crawford, the missing student, and one unknown male. That male DNA would become key, but it didn't match any of the janitors currently employed. Instead, it matched a deceased convict named Charles Lyle, the same man who escaped during the 1978 riot and was presumed dead in the fire, which begged the question, if Charles Lyle died in 1978, whose DNA was in the room? The voicemail. On November 9th, Emma received a voicemail from a blocked number. It was static for 6 seconds, then a whisper. It's still teaching. We're still here. The voice sounded female. It sounded like Rachel. Emma replayed the message 112 times. Every time, she heard something different in the background. A school bell, a faint scream, a child's laughter, a rhythmic knock, 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 and then, on the 113th playback, when she slowed the speed, she heard one final thing. A second voice. Male, raspy, low, take attendance. We're not done yet. The hidden lesson plan. Back in Rachel's classroom, Price found a hollowed-out copy of Lord of the Flies. Inside, a USB stick labeled, Final Lesson. The video was silent, just classroom footage of Rachel pacing the floor, glancing out the window nervously. She looked broken, exhausted. Then, slowly, she turned to face the camera. She held up a sheet of paper with writing on it. In shaky red ink, it read, Fairview doesn't teach kids. Fairview feeds on them. She held up a second paper. We are the lesson. The hallway is the test. If you make it to class, you live. Then the screen went black. The return of the teacher. At exactly 7:41 a.m. on December 1st, precisely 10 weeks after her disappearance, the front door camera of Fairview High flickered back online. In that footage was Rachel Harmon. Same clothes, same tote bag. She walked through the front doors, smiling. Teachers who saw her froze in disbelief. But when they called her name, Rachel said nothing. She just walked calmly to room 212 and sat at her desk. The principal called 911. Police arrived in minutes. But when they entered the classroom, Rachel was gone. All that remained was her coffee mug, still warm, and a new note written on the board. Attendance. Mia, present. Rachel, present. Emma, a teacher returns and disappears again. The footage was verified. Rachel Harmon had returned to Fairview High exactly 70 days after she vanished. She walked in smiling, greeted no one, and disappeared before anyone could speak to her. That day, room 212 was sealed off. No one was allowed inside. Police collected Rachel's mug and analyzed the fingerprints. They found her prints, aged faint, but also a new set belonging to Mia Crawford. The last time Mia was seen, she had been wearing fuzzy slippers and pajamas. But now her school shoes were found neatly placed under the desk. The new student. 3 days later, a teacher named Mr. Alvarez swore he saw Mia Crawford in the hallway, alone, silent. She was holding a composition book, he told police, walking like she was in a trance. When he called her name, she stopped, looked back, and smiled. That moment, every light in the east hallway flickered. Every locker door swung open at once. Then she was gone. But that night, on the school's digital attendance system, a new student was added manually. Name, M. Crawford. Status, enrolled. Grade, Infinity. Teacher record, R. Harmon. The lesson continues. Emma and Lenora Price met with a retired school counselor, Marla Deeks, who had worked during the late 80s. Deeks was reluctant to talk, but over tea and an NDA, she revealed this. Fairview doesn't lose staff. Fairview collects them. According to her, staff and students who disappeared were often those who dug too deep or asked too many questions, those who didn't follow the script. She pulled out a faded document titled, Internal Memo, 1991, Code Black, East Hallway Incident Protocol. It outlined what to do if a staff member vanished inside the building. Instructions included, do not search beyond hallway D. Do not attempt communication with returned staff. If the bell rings between 3:11 and 3:16 a.m., evacuate immediately. The death bell. On December 13th, At 3:12 a.m., the bell at Fairview High rang. The school was closed, yet the bell rang 4 times, long and echoing. Surveillance footage showed no one inside, except for a single frame. Room 212's door opened on its own, then slammed shut, and in the hallway, just for a flicker of a second, a chalk outline appeared on the tile floor. It wasn't from a crime scene. It was from a desk. Emma goes back. Emma couldn't sleep. She kept dreaming about Fairview, about Rachel. So she did the unthinkable. She snuck into the school through a janitor's access tunnel discovered in the sublevel blueprints. Armed with a flashlight and recorder, Emma entered the east hallway just after 2 a.m. The moment she stepped past locker 113, her audio began to distort. She heard voices, Rachel's voice reading poetry. She followed the sound to room 212. Inside, the room looked different, older, like it hadn't been used in decades. Dust on every desk, except one, Rachel's, and written on the chalkboard as if just scrawled, "Welcome, Miss Harmon. Your substitute has arrived." The hallway clock. Emma noticed the classroom clock had stopped at 3:13, the exact time the bell had rung, but her phone read 2:46. She took a step toward the desk. Her flashlight flickered. Then the room darkened. The door behind her slammed shut. In the reflection of the glass board, she saw someone or something standing at the front of the class. It was not Rachel. Its face was blurred, its figure warped. It held a ruler in one hand, and in the other a long list of names. Emma turned to run, but the classroom had no exit anymore, just lockers where the door used to be. Recorded live. Emma's phone had been recording the entire time. Lenora, waiting outside, heard nothing for 46 minutes. Then Emma emerged, shaking, drenched in sweat, silent. She collapsed before she could speak a word. Later, when Price reviewed the recording, she heard desks dragging across the floor, children chanting, a faint, breathy voice repeating, "You're late, you're late, you're late." At the 43-minute mark, Rachel's voice whispered, "Get out," before the second bell. The files had vanished. The next morning, the Fairview High website was wiped clean. No faculty names, no student lists, no records of enrollment. When local news outlets tried to report on the disappearances, their articles were flagged as misinformation and taken down. Even backup files and physical yearbooks began disappearing from local libraries. It was as if the school was erasing itself. Or someone was erasing it. One librarian, who'd worked there for 22 years, made a chilling statement before quitting. "You ever heard of a school eating its history? Fairview doesn't want to be remembered, because remembering gives it power." Return to sender. Emma, recovering slowly, received a strange envelope in the mail. No return address. Postmarked locally. Inside was a class photo she'd never seen before. Rachel front and center, surrounded by children with blank faces. But Emma noticed something odd. She was in the picture, too, sitting in the front row. She had never attended Fairview High. And yet there she was. And on the back, in Rachel's handwriting, "Attendance is forever. R." The list. Price broke into the school's archive personnel office, which hadn't been accessed in years. In a locked drawer, she found a single sheet of yellowing paper. Master list. Pending attendance final. Names included. Rachel Harmon, present. Mia Crawford, present. Emma Harmon, under review. Lenora Price, pending. Mr. Alvarez, marked. Tyler Mendez, pending. You, awaiting registration. The last entry was handwritten. In red ink, midnight registration. That night, a text message was sent to dozens of parents. Your child has been enrolled in extended curriculum. Classes begin at 3:12 a.m. Do not be late. The school denied sending the messages. Yet by sunrise, 5 more students had vanished. Their parents all reported the same thing. The front door was locked from the inside. No sign of forced entry. No sound. Just gone. Each home had one strange new item left behind. A sharpened pencil, with the initials FH carved into it. The final bell, Part 1 ends. Lenora Price left Fairview the next day, moved states, changed her name, but before she disappeared, she sent one final message to Emma. It's not a school. It's a classroom for the lost. You don't graduate. You vanish. Fairview High was shut down 1 week later. The building was condemned, but demolition crews never showed, because as of January 3rd, 2020, Fairview High was no longer on the map. Literally, Google Earth now showed a cornfield in its place. No road, no structure, no town. But every night, at exactly 3:12 a.m., a school bell can still be heard. A school erased. After Fairview High disappeared from Google Earth, the panic wasn't local anymore. It went national. News outlets tried to investigate, but drone footage sent over the supposed location showed only empty farmland. Local authorities denied the school ever existed. The town's website was mysteriously shut down. Even birth certificates and diplomas from Fairview High were quietly revoked by the State Board of Education. It was as if the entire school had been scrubbed from reality. Except, not everyone forgot. The survivors remember. A subreddit called r/hallway truth began to explode. Former students of Fairview High, now in their 30s and 40s, started sharing stories. Many of them had no memory of graduating. Some had entire gaps in their childhood. One user at Backrow Brandon claimed, "I still dream about that hallway. The lockers breathe, and every time I try to open mine, I wake up with blood on my hands." Another at Mrs. Pinow wrote, "My wedding ring fell behind the school lockers in 1997. The next day, I woke up with it on my finger, but engraved on the inside was the name R. Harmon, room 212. In other schools, reports flooded in from across the country. Room 212, the number Rachel Harmon taught in, was appearing in schools that never had a room 212 before. In Iowa, a new teacher walked into her class and found her room number had changed overnight from 214 to 212. In California, a charter school that only had one floor reported that an unmarked second floor now existed, with one door labeled 212. In Texas, a school board supervisor found a hallway had expanded overnight. At the end was a single room, 212, locked from the inside. Inside each instance, investigators found the same thing. A chalkboard message. Pop quiz. How many students must vanish before someone notices? The third bell. The timestamp returns. 3:12 a.m. Each time the bell rings, someone disappears. Not just students. Now viewers. People watching old clips of Rachel's interview or reviewing security footage began experiencing sleep paralysis, disorientation, and hallucinations. A podcaster who covered the story in depth vanished during a live stream. Viewers say he stared at the camera for over 1 minute without blinking, then whispered, "They just took attendance," and collapsed. His co-host opened his mic and said, "Who's a?" The audio feed replied in Rachel's voice. The faculty. Rachel's final essay. Emma, now in hiding, receives a FedEx envelope from an anonymous sender. Inside is a final essay written by Rachel, never submitted, titled Fairview, a Curriculum for the Cursed. Excerpts include, "Every school teaches lessons. Fairview teaches consequences. The hallway is not a place. It's a threshold. Room 212 is a room. It's a decision. If you hear the bell after midnight, you're already enrolled." The final line is underlined 3 times. The hallway tests your memory. Failing, you stay. The test. A group of former students, led by a former classmate of Rachel's named Kevin Ortiz, decides to return to the school's supposed location. They arrive at the cornfield outside Fairview. But at 3:12 a.m., the landscape shifts. The corn bends backward. A path opens, and in the distance, illuminated by a flickering red exit sign, stands a single building, Fairview High, perfectly intact. The front doors are open, the lights are on, and over the loudspeaker, a calm voice says, "Welcome back. We've missed you. Please report to room 212. The hallway rebuilt. Kevin and his group live-streamed their entry. Thousands tune in. They confirm the school is back. Desks are still set. Lockers still full. One viewer notices something horrifying. The posters on the walls now feature the faces of viewers watching the stream. Real names, real faces, underneath each. Unexcused absence equals detention. Detention is forever. The stream cuts out at 3:44 a.m. Only one person walks back out of the building. A substitute teacher wearing a cardigan soaked in blood. It's not Kevin. It's someone who looks like Rachel but isn't. She smiles at the camera and places a new chalkboard outside the door. On it, tardy list next week. Viewer names from the live stream. Final exam to be determined. The memory test. Emma begins forgetting. Her sister's name. Her own address. What year it is. She writes herself notes daily, but every morning they're scrambled. Don't forget the hallway exists. Becomes. The hallway forgets you exist. Price sends her one final text. They're rewriting us. We're in the margins now. The only way out is to fail the test, or burn the curriculum. The midterm, the bell rings again. This time, in every state, the sky flashes crimson. And across 212 high schools, a new substitute teacher arrives. They all wear the same pin. FH faculty. EST 1978. One janitor at a high school in New Jersey opens a mop closet and screams. Inside, carved into the wall, I made it to class. Rachel Harmon. Mia Crawford. Emma Harmon. Detention roll call. At exactly 3:12 a.m., across the nation, sirens wailed. The final bell rang. And across 212 locations, cameras, street, classroom, live streams captured the same thing. A classroom door opening where none existed before. Inside each, one wooden desk, a single chair, a chalkboard with only one word. Detention. The faculty gathers. In a hidden live stream posted on the r/hallway true subreddit, a new video surfaced titled, Faculty Meeting, Attendance Mandatory. It showed a conference room filled with shadowed figures. Faces blurred, some flickering in and out of focus. At the head of the table sat a woman in a red cardigan, Rachel Harmon. She called names from a yellow roster. Mia Crawford, present. Kevin Ortiz, present. Mr. Alvarez, present. Emma Harmon, present. You, present. Rachel looked up, smiled. Now we can begin. The curriculum exposed. Emma, slipping between realities, began to see Fairview's master plan. It wasn't just a haunted school. Fairview was an entity, a sentient construct feeding off fear, memory, and attention. It used education as a mask, lessons as bait, and rules to trap its victims in endless loops of guilt, trauma, and confusion. The more people talked about it, the more powerful it became. Every viewer, every click, every share is attendance. Fairview had adapted. The hallway now lived online. The chalkboard code. A viral TikTok video claimed the secret to Fairview's curse was hidden in the chalkboards. When run through color-enhancing AI, messages became visible in the smudges. She never left. You enroll by watching. Turn off the video before the second bell. The desk is your grave. Unsubscribe equals expulsion equals escape. But the most disturbing? Room 212 is now in your home. Lenora's last case, Lenora Price, now in full isolation, sent Emma a final encrypted file titled, The Final Lesson Plan. Inside were hundreds of redacted school reports from as far back as 1903, all tied to disappearances near a building numbered 212. The pattern existed long before Fairview, before Rachel, before the internet. It changed names, forms, architecture, but the core remained. A hallway, a classroom, a teacher, a test, and the one unbroken rule. Show up or be brought in. The walls close in. Emma's home began to change. Her hallway grew longer. The door at the end turned dark green. A sticky note was left under her pillow. See you in class. 3:12. She tried to run, to hide, to forget. But memory is the price of survival, and hers was now on the syllabus. The bell rings one last time. Across thousands of devices at the same moment, viewers watching old Fairview clips saw their screens turn to static. Then a familiar voice whispered, "Thank you for attending. Please submit your final." Cameras turned on by themselves. Screens showed viewers, you the audience, sitting at a desk, pen in hand, chalkboard behind. One word appeared, "Name," and underneath, "You never made it to class." The door closes. Rachel is seen one final time, alone in room 212. She walks to the window, whispers, "Lesson complete. New semester begins." Fairview is everywhere now. She closes her grade book, snaps the chalk in half, and smiles. The camera pulls back, revealing that room 212 is no longer inside a school, but inside an empty YouTube interface. The description reads, "This video is no longer available. The user has dropped out. The end, or enrollment. Fairview High no longer exists. Yet videos continue appearing. Accounts that were never uploaded begin posting classroom footage. Streamers wake up reciting Rachel's lesson plans. And true crime fans start dreaming of hallways they've never walked." One final post appears on our /hallway truth. Thanks for watching. Please like, comment, and stay present. Final question. Did you hear the bell? Graduation cap you passed. For now,